What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor. It looks like people want less expensive houses, and builders are responding. Forbearance numbers finally fall below 200,000. We got the Coach's Corner, the DMV Real Estate Report, then we're going to jump into the hot or not. Welcome to the Real Estate Wire, folks. What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor.
Coach Marcus, what up?
What up? Today, we got a really cool episode. We're going to be updating y'all on the market here in the DMV. What's going on, Coach? How you doing, brother?
Really good today. Got a special announcement.
What's your special announcement?
Taya's birthday is today.
Happy birthday to you.
Taya, this is special.
Happy birthday to you. I'm in 6. You hear that? Happy birthday, dear Taya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
To you.
Happy birthday
To you.
Happy birthday
To you.
Happy birthday. Hey, we took it to a couple different places. Happy birthday, Taya. How old is she, man?
She's 7. She's
7.
But first of all, it's actually a good look because, like, if y'all been watching, y'all know Dan is not about the birthdays
I'm not.
or the song or any of those things.
I'm not
So,
for myself, but for other people.
Right, yeah.
Hey, you like it? I love it.
But you know what else?
Y'all ain't hot.
So I woke her this morning singing happy birthday to her. Her mom was loving on her and happy birthday and all that. And Taya said happy birth mom to my wife, to Tiff, right?
Uh-huh.
Happy birth. I forget how she said it, but it made me think of how we were talking before about like the celebration should be like towards the mom.
Out of the mouth of babes. You feel me? Yeah, my son's birthday coming up too on the set. You coming to the party? What you doing?
I'm trying to come through. You know, I'll be.
That's
I
a
can
no.
be down the street.
Just say no, bruh.
I would say no if I know no, but if
You
it
ain't gonna come
no.
to a 2-year-old birthday party? You're toxic, bro. You're toxic. I don't like this new side of you.
Who cooking?
Me.
I will see.
I'm on the grill.
Y'all got cats?
What, you mean like, are we cooking cats?
No,
Or do we have like cats like in the house?
Yeah, because I be.
You scared of cats?
Nah, I just be concerned about like eating potlucks and stuff, and people got certain animals in the house, and if I just watch, I'll be like, because a cat is disrespectful. That's a whole different conversation that we did.
No, I've
are
had cats.
disrespectful.
Cats are actually really like good pets, bro.
They do what they want to do. They don't.
Yeah,
listen.
exactly. That's why they're good pets. You don't got to take them out to walk
So
them.
when one of my friends went over to the house to help move furniture, and this cat was laying on the stove one day, and then we came back in, like it was laying between the burners, right? And the cat was, and then we came back in from moving. The cat was on top of the refrigerator, and I was like, "This cat is everywhere." And I'm not one to, I'm picky, you know. So like if the food don't look right, or if I just,
That's a problem, Marcus.
hey, listen,
You have a problem.
I'm cool with it, but I guarantee
need to
there's a
talk
lot of
to somebody.
people. There's a lot of people that think like me, just saying.
But why is it a specific animal? Why cat? Like, why would you say you got cats?
I'm a dog lover, and
See, that's the problem right there. You're a dog lover.
dogs do what
Dog lovers hate cat people because they don't understand cats.
I don't necessarily hate cat people. I don't hate cat people, but I can't do no cat.
Yeah, I'm not a dog person, man. I don't like just random beasts just running and jumping all over me. I didn't give you permission to do so, and they're just licking you and barking all. Come on, man. Keep your beast in the cage. I don't like that. Cats,
The cats got attitudes though.
that's only from the person who doesn't receive like their attention. You perceive it as them having an attitude. I think cats are selective judge of character.
Forget them cats. Anybody get no cat?
Well, speaking of cats, some people want less expensive houses, and builders are responding. Builders are responding, yo. And this is actually, I mean, yeah, to me, it's kind of like, well, duh, because what else they gonna do? We got 6 million house shortage. So this Keeping Current Matters article says, in today's market, there are 2 main affordability challenges. Good, we're still rolling. Challenges impacting buyers. Mortgage rates that are higher than they've been in the past couple years and rising home prices. The challenge for most buyers is mortgage rates that are higher than they've seen in the past couple of years, and rising home prices caused by low inventory. To overcome those challenges, most people are working with their agents to find less expensive homes. I talked about this to my buyers a lot. There's two ways to find a less expensive home. Either you find a smaller house or you buy a house further out.
Mm-hmm.
And to overcome those challenges, many people are working with their agents to find newly built homes that are making up a historically large percentage of the total available inventory today. That search often includes brand new homes, and
Yeah.
people are spending a lot less on newly built homes.
But you know, we were talking about new construction, and you were like, why? A couple weeks ago, you were like, why would you? Why are you on the new construction thing? Like,
I said that?
Mhm. He said, because not because it's a negative type of property to purchase, but like I think maybe from the perspective of, and we had to go back and look at it.
Roll the tape.
It'd be from the perspective of it kind of it hurts me a lot of time because they're going to go with the builder's lender. Sometimes in this market, like builders can get super stingy with how much they will give a realtor. So you get it.
I almost did. I was trying to tell y'all.
Make sure you got it.
That's called dessert.
Everybody say it tastes the same as it was when you first
Still
ate
good.
it. That's why I don't eat it at certain people's house. But
Well, this would be the seasoning. I don't put that on until after. I'm not a heathen. I got more sense than that.
we're lunching today. But I think the new construction. I mean, I was talking to a realtor on the way here. I was like, I asked him, "Are you having more success with new construction?" Because it seemed like what I see him posting on online, it's more of taking his clients to home sites. They celebrate with the sign, at the lot, or Lennar has this thing, the red carpet thing, when you stand on the red carpet, hold the sign,
Yeah.
So it's
I did a
like,
couple this year.
yeah, so like, are you finding more success with new construction? He was like, absolutely, and his work, he's going to represent the client well. You will as well, but you kind of like you're not out really, really hunting for a property.
I mean, it's just the vibe right now, yo, because the way the market is going, the way the economy is going, just in general, I think we talked about this in some of the earlier episodes called ephemeralization, which is a really good term, Buckminster Fuller, but it's basically doing more with less. So our entire capitalist society, our entire economy is based on doing less with more with less. So so there's a big, huge lawsuit that's going on right now in the National Association of Realtors. I'm sure you guys heard about it. There's a class action lawsuit that's happening where basically people are coming for real estate commissions, and they're like, "Yo, we feel like y'all making too much." It's not really like that. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. But
That's the one where the buyer's agent will get paid by the buyer instead of the buyer's agent getting paid by the seller.
yeah, now between me and you and the Real Estate Wire Squad, that's the one where the buyer is bringing all the money to the table, so the buyer pays the commission, just like they always brought all the money to the table and pays all the commission. But if you if you talk to the National Association of Realtors, the seller pays their listing agent, and then the listing agent pays the agent that brings the buyer a percentage of that commission. So, for example, if I want to sell your house, 500,000, you say, okay, Dan, sell my house. I pay you. You pay me to market. You pay me to help you with contracts. You pay me for contract and negotiation. You pay me to take you to closing. That fee, some people, real estate commission is 100% negotiable. Let me say that first. But let's say just for a placeholder, that number is 6%.
Okay.
500,000 times 6%, $30,000. If I'm a listing agent, I would split 6% between myself and the agent that brings us the buyer.
Split 30 grand between you and the other side.
Right, so they make 15, I make 15. But when you really think about it, who brought the 500,000 to the table?
With the buyer, whoever the buyer went through to get the loan.
Exactly. So the buyer brought the $500,000 to the table. So sellers feel like, well, I paid my listing agent, but you didn't really pay because you didn't have that money. You got paid, and you paid your fees out of the money that the buyer brought. Right. So really, the buyer. So it's just 6 one way, half a dozen the other. What we're really talking about is just movement of one number on a piece of paper to another line on a piece of paper, is what it really is. And the reason that that's happening is because a lot of the big box brokerages, a lot of these bigger companies, your Redfins, your Rocket, just open Rocket Homes, iBuyer. There's a lot of different technologies. Zillow tried it, even though they lost. trying to disrupt the real estate industry, which I think is good. I really believe that it's good because it's going to make the consumer experience way better.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have stuff like new construction, on the lending side, it affects the lending side a bit, right? Because they have everything in house. They're one of these disruptive industries that kind of disrupts a business, a business model, an industry. But I think ultimately, since we are client focused, I think it's a good thing that buyers are able to find houses that fit their budget.
Yeah. With the rising interest rates, which by the way, like overnight national averages are sitting at like 7.49, and which is consistent. I mean, it's in the same range, a little bit higher than the averages since like 1971. So the average,
7% is exactly
it's
average.
it's still.
But when you look at your pocketbooks, it's kind of like, well,
So it requires you to not go after all the bells and whistles right now, but it's probably funneling people into more a realistic mindset in terms of how they buy, and it funneling them into buying their starter home, which we know if they keep it 5, 10, 7, whatever, how many years, it will be worth more later than what they started with, provided that the market continues to do what it does. And then you sell it, get equity, go into the next property, to get more of the bells and whistles, and maybe you got some options at that point. But when you go with the builder's lender, they're going to offer you a market rate, but then they will also offer you the incentives,
right? Because they control the purse
that the builder puts in the pot, the lender puts in the pot, the title company puts in the pot, and with this entire pot that might be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, they'll say. They used to give you options, say, "Oh, you can either take the money, or we'll finish your basement, or we'll give you the bump out."
Right?
They don't do the finished basement and the bump outs like that anymore. They'll say, "Here's the money, and with this money, we're still offering you a market rate of 7.5%, but you can take some of this money and buy it down to 7% or 6 point something, right? So what's left of the $20,000, which might be 11 or it might be $9,000 that's left over, you can apply that to the remaining closing costs, but you still got to pay your down payment or whatever."
Yeah.
So the more you have kind of in house, the more control you have over it. But which I was talking to some of my team today, and it makes it super entertaining and fun and challenging for me. That no matter what they do, if you say, okay, y'all gonna take this money and buy these points down. Okay, let's make it apples to apples. What would it be without the money, right? So let's start at ground zero. But then if you apply that money, where's the rate drop to? Well, it drops to this. Okay, cool. If I apply that same money, you still can't touch me. So it's fun in that way. And then, but
I mean, the new construction people, like, I mean, I understand it. They got a business model, and it works when it works. It works. It's crushing. I mean, good for them. I think. So the article continues. People are spending less money on newly built houses. The graph shows the latest information from the census in June. They said that last year, 2022, only 58% of newly built home sales were less than 500,000. This June, the number is up 65%. And so that means that more people are buying less expensive newly built homes right now, while affordability remains a challenge. Now, here's my 1986 take on new construction houses. The quality of these new construction houses are not that good. I mean, let's just be frank.
Unless it's a custom home,
which most people aren't buying. Most people buy a spec. They're just buying the models or the right. The quality ain't that good. They not, it's just a bunch of wood and drywall. It's not really anything super solid, which is why they can build them at mass because
and quickly,
right? We're not in a hurricane area. We're not in a tornado area. So the regulations for building houses right here down here, like if you go down to Texas, them joints is all brick. They're all brick. New construction neighborhoods, all brick cinder block. Like it's like if you live on on the islands in Anguilla or something like that, right? Because they have a higher regulations as far as like what type of homes they can build. Because if you have tornadoes and flash fire flood, if we had a tornado in the middle of Waldorf, bro, right out in Lesby or one of them Lennar communities, though, them joints will be gone because they're not built very well,
I
right?
seen when I was in Florida this past July, and then when I was in what was it, Myrtle Beach last year, we were of course you look at real estate and you go by the construction communities, and it's like nothing but plywood, and it's like and they put them up so fast, and
I mean, I'm not a. I say get in where you fit in. If you want to buy a new construction house, I call balls and strikes, Pauls, right? So I'm like, look, the construction of those new construction houses is not the greatest construction on the planet, yo. It's just a bunch of wood framing, drywall. You're gonna get your nail pops. You're gonna get, your toilet paper holder may not be up there in the next like 3 years, especially if you got a kid. It's just gonna rip straight out of the drywall because there's nothing really holding anything together. Your finishes are, so you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And sometimes you pay a little bit more. Like I said, you have see, and this is what we try to talk about here on the Real Estate Wire. We're not just talking about like real estate per se. We are, but I also want to go a little bit deeper into the economics of it and really understand what you're buying. You're buying a company product, and
for sure,
right? Their goal is to reduce their bottom line expenses so that they can increase their profit.
right?
And if you can cut costs on materials, and you can cut costs on production, and you can cut costs on your systems and your operations, and basically chug out an entire community in 18 months and make 50 million bucks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Game on, right? So you have to understand that these new constructions aren't so much in the business of making, and there are some that are quality, K-Hop, Pulte, I know but they're all still kind of the same. You know what I mean? It's like, so you're gonna get what you pay for when you get new construction. Yeah, it is less expensive, but there's also a reason why it's less
So I'm
expensive.
gonna throw a wild card out here. One got to go. Lennar, K-Hop, Stanley Martin, or since we local, Caruso.
Lennar. They're the lowest quality.
Okay.
They're the lowest quality of the ones you just mentioned.
So what I say, Caruso, Lennar.
So you got your top tier, which is going to
Who's
be
your top?
Well, my
But you're the expert, right? Because you
well,
see.
I'm saying, like, as far as quality is concerned and customization, your top in this area are going to be K-Hov, it's going to be Pulte, and it's going to be Caruso.
Those are the top three.
Those are the top three in terms of quality homes.
Give me your bottom three.
Then your mid tier going to be Atlantic. Did I say Stanley Martin in the top? Stanley Martin's kind of like in that mid Atlantic range, and then there's a couple other in that mid tier, like I'll say some of your Ryan Homes maybe, but then at the lower tier it's going to be like your Lennars, right? Your NVR, like those guys. They're just throwing stuff up. Like, they don't care.
So you say Ryan Lennar,
NVR Homes. Yeah, is that a lender or is that a new construction?
NVR is an NVR mortgage, but like NVR.
Who is I think
NV Homes?
Because there's Ryan and then there's Dan Ryan, and they're like cousins actually.
Yeah,
one is like
family.
a son.
So Dan Ryan builds a pretty good home.
They're all in the same tier.
The middle.
Those,
you think the middle or the lower?
On the lower end, right? The Lennars. The Dan Ryan's going to be on your lower ends. So yeah, but you see a lot of them. You see Lennar everywhere.
Yeah.
That's that's kind of an indicator. Not that they're dope, but that a lot of people grab them. So
yeah, it gives you the new smell. It gives you the new look. It gives you some things that But again, I think it's buying responsibly, and responsible is not just limited to the type, the amount of house that you need in terms of the size and the amenities. It also involves making sure you're educated about it, make sure your loan is right, make sure you understand all the bells and whistles and the numbers. It's being a responsible homeowner. It's not just a one-sided thing. There's a lot of different facets to this experience, this diamond of an experience. You got to look at it from all sides. And once you figure out, like, all right, I got a good handle on this thing. Let's go ahead and push.
Because what you don't want to do is go into a forbearance situation.
Right.
Which takes us to the coach's corner. What you got for us, Coach?
Yes, sir. So the forbearance numbers. I don't know if anybody knows. Put it in the chat comment section if you already know what a forbearance is. But forbearance, I guess if I ask you to put it in the chat to see if you know, I probably shouldn't tell you. But maybe I just tell them. I'll tell them anyway. You ain't gotta worry about it.
For the people who ain't gonna do it.
For y'all, the cheap seats.
Yeah, if you were the cheap
We ain't
seats.
shout out cheap seats in a minute.
What up, cheap? Because we sitting up here with them. We all up here together.
But the reality is this: you have a mortgage payment, whatever the number is, and for whatever reason, life has changed, and you can't make the mortgage payment any longer as your original terms require. So you call your mortgage company, talk to customer service. They're going to walk you through a process of submitting a bunch of paperwork. They're going to ask for your tax returns, bank statements, W-2s, pay stubs, almost like you're qualifying for something. But what they're looking for is your income and everything in life has changed to where you can no longer make the original payment. So what they'll do is they say, okay, if we look at this information and it's proven that you can't uphold the original terms, we will keep you from having to make a mortgage payment for a certain amount of months. Let's say it's 3 months, might be 6 months. Okay. You won't have to make a mortgage payment for, let's say, 6 months, right? Now, if your mortgage payment is $2,000 a month, those 6 months equate to $12,000. There, depending on the terms in which this mortgage company will issue the forbearance, after those 6 months is up, you can sometimes just start making the $2,000 again. Sometimes you just get back into start making the $2,000 payment again. Everything is cool. But then sometimes they'll say after the 6 months, you got $12,000 that we set aside that you didn't have to pay because of life. Now, when you have to start making those payments again after 6 months, you got to pay us that $12,000 in one chunk.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll say, well, if you can't pay it, then you got to submit paperwork back to us, and we'll look at it and see how we can cut it up into 3 or 4 months or whatever. But let's just say they say you forego the $12,000 over 6 months, and then they don't want you to pay the $12,000 back, on day one when everything's ready to go. They'll say when you sell the house, you still owe them the $12,000 now. When you sell the house, whatever's left on the original mortgage, you pay it off. But also this $12,000 that we pushed aside, you got to pay that off too, because we want all our money back. So that's what a forbearance is. Kind of a little bit longer explanation that I wanted to give, but it is what it is. What this number is showing is that the amount of people that are in forbearance went down, right? So it went down by 0.44%. That doesn't sound like a lot, but what it says is that it estimates about 195,000 homeowners are in forbearance plans. Over time, since 2020, mortgage services have provided forbearance plans to about 7.9 million borrowers, but the numbers are going down. And what that means is there's still money out here. People are still making money. Jobs are still coming about. Although inflation is up and expenses are higher, people are still able to maintain their mortgage and keep the payment going on time. And also what that says is that these numbers stay low. Then when people do need a forbearance in the future, the rules are going to be a little bit looser for them to be able to get access to it.
So that really, that's great news. I wonder what actually happened to. I guess those people either got foreclosed on, or they sold their properties because they were in forbearance, or they did a loan modification and got out of forbearance. Probably a combination of all three.
Probably.
I think we predicted that. It's like, look, these banks didn't want a bunch of foreclosures because they want to hold your debt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the guess that people were making that there was going to be a bunch of foreclosures. Again, we still have not seen any evidence that that's happening. Doesn't look like it's happening as of yet. I think 51 million homeowners have with a mortgage 32 million. 51 million homeowners with a mortgage have a rate below 4%. 32 million of them have a rate below 4%. 51 million homeowners with a mortgage have rates below 4%. So that's a lot. And so that kind of plugs into the DMV
report.
Real estate report. I change every week. There's DMV market real estate report. So here's what's going on in the local DMV here. We're down all around. Does that mean crash? Well, we had to crash back in January. What is happening is year over year, from this time last year, we have a 29% decrease in new listings as of this month. As of this month, we have a 13% decrease in new pendings. As of this month, we have 20% decrease in closed sales. And as of this month, we have a 3.9 increase in the price. So that's what we call a squeeze. Right? There's less houses. Squeeze it. There's less bread on the shelves, and the available bread costs more money. That's just kind of how it's looking right now in this inflationary market. The funny thing is, I was listening. I was at an ALC retreat yesterday because we were talking a little bit about what's going on in the market, what's going on with the lawsuit.
What's ALC stand for?
The Associate Leadership Council.
Oh, we talked about that last week.
Yeah. And so we were talking offline about it, but the online stuff is really good. Basically, what it looks like they're getting ready to do, which makes total sense. Remember, Real Estate Wire Squad. If you remember, go back in some of our earlier episodes, we used to talk a lot about buyer's market, neutral market, seller's market. We talk a lot about inventory, which is a magical, beautiful real estate word, but most people don't know what we're talking about when we say inventory. Inventory is the total amount of homes available at any given time. So just like if you go to Foot Locker and they got the Jordans out front, and then they only got maybe 20 more pair in the back. That's the total amount of inventory that store has available at any given time. That's the inventory. And if they the more shoes that they sell, if they only got 2 shoes left, they have 2 boxes of shoes left. They have a very low inventory in the back, right? They have a low inventory of Jordans. If they got 50 boxes of Jordans out there, they got a bunch of inventory of Jordans available to sell to their customers. So on the real estate side, we look at the same criteria when we determine which type of market we're in. A lot of people were thinking, oh man, we're in a buyer's market now because the interest rates shot up. And so they were waiting for the 2008 thing. Everybody thought that was going to happen again, and they missed the actual wave, which was 2% interest rates. So they missed that wave, hoping for a past wave, and then that wave didn't happen. Now we're on another wave. So that's why it pays to understand the history of the market so you can know where you are relative to every real estate cycle that has already happened.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up because I was looking just this morning at some graphs and charts about the markets, rates, the different years, and this chart was every 5 years. So it was 2023, where over 7%. It went back 2018, then it went back to 2013, and then it hit 2008, right? And then of course it went back to 2003, and so on. And I looked at that. A lot of people reference the crash of 2008, right? But they don't ever. That's a term that's used, but they don't look at the numbers,
right?
That there was, in that time frame. And don't you know that the average interest rate at the time of the crash was right around where it is right now?
7%.
Yeah. And I was like, huh. And then, of course, you see the rates kind of trickle down a little bit and bump up a little bit, But then you get all the way down to the 2% interest rate. And, of course, we want what we want when we want it. And, of course, we want the 2% that we just had now. And the market doesn't dictate that. And the market goes back up. But if you look at what happened 15 years ago, what was up is going to come back down. Will it come back down to the 2 and 3? No, because that was an anomaly. That was a unicorn. But it will settle down. It will come and it will kind of, fluctuate and just kind of bounce around the same little range.
And when that happens, be prepared for prices to skyrocket.
Yeah, you got to be prepared now.
We hit a bottom in January as far as our pricing. And ever since January, we've consistently been up. We're taking now a downturn around the summer. which could be seasonal or it could be indicative of something, a bigger picture. And most people, I think what people think is, okay, well, eventually the prices are going to come down. But this is what the prices do. The prices start here back in 1986 at like $80,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Then they go up, and then they come down a little bit, and then they go up, and then they go down a little bit, and then they go up, and then they go down a little bit, and then they go up, and they go down. And we started here. And people go, well, I'm waiting for the prices to come down. Well, guess what? It's still 4 times higher than it was in 1986.
It's not coming back down.
And it's never, if real estate goes down to, if the economy does it, it's not very likely, I'll say.
Listen,
it's possible.
It's only possible to the what you're giving, and you're talking about 1986, right? So that puts you at what 30. How many years is that?
Like 38 something. Yeah, 34 years ago.
So it's like we're talking about rates going back, or values.
36 years ago.
Yeah, values going back to where they were in 1986.
We're talking about everything. We're talking about gas. We're talking about bread. We're talking about clothes.
What that means is we're legitimately not in a recession. We're in a depression.
If we went that
low.
If we went that low. And that would also, the depression would include banks, right? All banks collapsing, nobody being
everything.
A run on the banks.
Yeah, how can you get back to?
Yeah, see, and the thing is, here's what me and Marcus are getting at. Here's what me and Marcus are getting at, which I think most of you guys are trying to do. Everybody's looking for the opportunity, and everybody's looking for the deal.
Yeah,
everybody wants to get a good price on whatever they're buying. 2 years ago, 3 years ago during the pandemic, you could have got a deal. If you didn't take advantage of that, if you did, good for you. If you didn't, good for you. Because there's always opportunities and deals. As long as you're, like we talked about, buying according to how much you can spend per month, getting into too much into the weeds about interest rates and this and that. None of that, for the most part, really is going to affect you.
Right.
Unless you're like, buying and selling multiple homes and things like that. You definitely want to get a good rate, but the main thing is to figure out what your budget is per month, stay within that budget, find a house that you like, put an offer on it, and then go to closing. It's way more simple than I think a lot of people think. And so the point I was making was, I think that now they're going to be recalibrating what we're considering a seller's market and a buyer's market. Historically, a buyer's market has been anytime we have over 12 months of inventory, they considered that a buyer's market. So between 6 and 12 months of inventory, or 12 months of available homes, which is a lot of property. In other words, if nobody else put their property on the market, it would take us a year to sell out of houses. Versus what we would consider to be a seller's market, which is 1 to 2 months of inventory or less. We've been at less than a month for the past like 4 or 5 years. Like we've been in a seller's market ever since like 2015, 2016.
Right.
We've been in a seller's market. And so now they're starting to recalibrate because the graph of buyer's market versus seller's market is kind of like, well, when did they create that? Before the internet? Because if you put a house on the market, 100,000 people are going to see it. So when is the last time we've had 12 months of inventory? Like 2011, Is that market ever coming back? I don't know, but I think they're trying to recalculate what we're considering to be a buyer's market and a seller's market. Because if we look right now, we haven't been in a buyer's market for years.
Right.
But you could really say that right now we're in a buyer's market because we have extended days on market. You can go in and get closing cost help. I've got a lot of my clients closing cost help. I've given a lot of buyers closing cost help on the listing side. And people are doing price reductions. So if you add all those and only say, well, technically we're still in a seller's market because we don't have more than 6 months of inventory. Well, I think they're trying to recalculate that and shrink that down to where's this chart? I have it on a chart. They're trying to.
You have a graphic?
I got a graphic. They're trying to basically, they're having this, I don't know who they are, so if y'all want to find out
nobody knows who they
the
are.
powers that be are, basically trying to condense that and saying basically that anything over I think they're saying 3 months. Oh, I went off the graph. Anything over 3 months of inventory is going to be considered a neutral market. And then they're going to say a balanced market is going to be between 4 and 6 months. And then anything 6 months and greater is going to be considered a buyer's market, which I still think is kind of off, but it's better than saying, let's wait for 6 months before we declare the buyer's market. When, if you ask me, practically speaking, we're in a buyer's market. It feels like it.
Can I ask you a question, though?
No.
I'm asking anyway. The terms that are used, the metrics,
Yeah.
the definition, like buyer's market versus seller's market.
Yeah.
Who, y'all make that stuff up, right?
Man, that we ain't make that up, bro. That's
No.
a Wall Street. That comes from Wall Street. It's just a buyer's market.
But I think,
You got a bull market and you got a bear market.
okay, I get that. But what I'm saying is, the bull market, bear market, you can disperse those terms and that logic into real estate. But I think the people that really start to talk a lot about the buyer's market, seller's market, it's primarily driven by the narrative that the realtors create and how the market flows and how.
I mean, so this is what I tell my clients all the time. I don't control the market. I only interpret the market.
Right.
So if I look up and I see, this house been on the market for 270 days, all across the entire region. We got extended. It's just numbers, and we say, okay, how much inventory is available? Or it looks like we're creeping up to about 5 months of inventory. And then you look at the absorption rate, which is how many properties on the market. You divide that number by the number of pendings, and that gives you the absorption rate, which is how fast properties are moving off the market month by month. And then you take all the properties that are on the market and you divide them by the number that closed, and that gives you the inventory.
Yes.
And it tells you, oh, okay, we've got 6 months of inventory. We got 6 months of available houses, or we got 12 months of available houses, or we even got 1.5 months of available houses. So you can change the title and call it a happy market versus a sad market, or a blue market versus a green market, or a chicken market versus a beef market. Like, you can call it whatever you want, but the numbers are indicative of how the buyers are going to fare in that market, or how the sellers or how aggressively you can price your property, right? If I'm talking to a client in this market and they say, hey, Dan, I want to push the market and I want to get the highest amount that I can get. I'm not in a rush. I just want this number, right? And I don't care if we stay on the market for 6 months. That's fine with me because I want this number. I'm good financially. I'm not in a rush to sell, and I can wait. Well, then I advise them, like, okay, well, just so you know, the average days on market over here is, 120 or whatever it is for their neighborhood. Right now, we're technically in a seller's market, but it practically feels like more of a buyer's market. We're in a 7% interest rate market, so buyers are thinking a little bit harder. They're moving a little bit slower. They're having more conversations with their lenders, so they're less likely to overpay for a property. That's the conversation that I'm having. I don't control it. Now, if we're in a buyer's market, like the one we just came out of, I mean, a hyper seller's market, that's the conversation I'm having with my buyers. It's like, yo, you may not be able to go $20,000, $30,000 below list price because there's a line of people standing outside to see this property, and it's gone in a weekend, and every single house that we looked at before we even got there ratified. I think we're in a seller's market.
It's funny that I haven't even seen that. Like, out my way, like, it's so aggressive, and I don't see people giving up closing costs. I've actually seen prices escalate, and and maybe just price point could be county and city, but I don't know. I've actually seen some buyers give money towards the seller's closing costs, paying some of the realtor commissions.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. If you're a buyer,
be prepared.
You're going to start wanting to, and I'm having these conversations with my buyers already because as of August 15th, 2023, it's official now in the MLS, in the Bright MLS. The buyer's agent, the listing agent, can put $0 for buyer agent commission as of the 15th. Before it was, it's a very small change, because it used to be a penny. You used to put 00, and then you could put 1 cent, which was like the lowest you could go. But that's what the lawsuit was about, because it's kind of like, you guys shouldn't, right? So now it's officially 0. And so you as a buyer, if you're looking to buy your house now, the tough thing is about this lawsuit is it's a consumer driven lawsuit. It's a group of consumers. That's
Y'all gonna be beefing.
who?
The realtor gonna be beefing so
No,
hard.
no, no. I'll tell you why.
Well,
But
because if you write 0 as if the
and
listing
then the
agent writes
conversation
in,
is, well, this is what my seller wants to pay. Like, I don't have control over that. The
I get
seller
it. I
said
get it.
0. So here's the conversation that you need to have with your buyers. And if your buyer, you need to be prepared. Hey, Mr. and Mr. Buyer, I know you want to buy a house. You're a first time home buyer. So my fee is X. This is what I charge for my services. And historically, in some cases, the seller has paid my commission.
Yeah.
But if the seller does not pay my commission, then that fee gets passed on to you, and so you'll have to pay that 2%, 2.5%, whatever it is. They're gonna, and here's the thing: they won't be able to go anywhere else because everybody's gonna be eventually. Now this is coming down the road, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe longer, depends. But that's the tough thing, because it's like this was from the consumers because they were trying to save money on commission, but then it actually turns out to bite them in the butt
That's what I'm
because
gonna say.
buyers now have to come out of pocket for it, which just increases their overall expenses to even buy a house in the first place, which is going to disqualify a lot of people.
That's not. That's gonna make it so tough. That's gonna make it so tough. And the economists are talking about how good of a year like next year is shaping up to be because of like what we're seeing in our numbers and where we think the rates might be. Like if this lawsuit impacts
When?
okay. When this
It's already happening.
lawsuit impacts legislation, which starts to hit like lenders and servicers and guidelines and paperwork, and you start to see it on your closing disclosures and all the things, that's going to be such a
I don't think
crazy.
so. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine.
I mean,
Let me tell you why I think it'll
hope
be
so.
I think it will be. I think what's going to happen, just like it always happens, we think it's going to be like bedlam, it's going to be the worst thing in the world. Then it turns out to be totally fine. The people who are going to bail us out of this situation are going to be the lenders. They're going to create a program invariably, because right now, what you guys have some type of law or rule that commission can't be financed or something, right? You guys have some type of arbitrary rule for that, which nobody really knows why that's there.
Yeah, your commission.
Just erase that line.
I have to look at that.
Yeah, I mean, but
because I don't know the why, I just know it is.
There is no reason why. They just do it because the buyer has to come up with their own money, and they have to have a certain percentage in the game. They want to have skin in the game.
What you're getting to is we're going to create a loan program that allows you to finance X amount of dollars.
That's my prediction. I mean, we've been right all these many months. Every single time we say something, it kind of ends up. That's my prediction.
If we do that, which I hadn't thought of that, but if we do that, I can guarantee you that interest rate ain't gonna be your standard flat interest rate. Oh no,
ain't nothing free.
Right. This is the equivalent of down payment assistance.
Now here's what's going to happen, right?
And down payment assistance programs, those rates are over 8%, right?
So let's keep following it to its natural conclusion. Who's that going to affect?
Your buyer.
The sellers.
What?
It's going to affect the sellers because you, Mr. Seller, don't want to pay a buyer's agent. Now the buyer's agent, okay, for the cynic, I'm going to talk to you, Mr. Cynic, real quick. The cynic is going to say, well, why don't the real estate agents just get out of the transaction altogether? Right? Okay, so cool. There's a world where that exists. In the world where people don't want to do their own taxes, in the world where people don't want to do their own dentistry, in the world where people don't want to do their own open heart surgery,
I don't want to do nothing.
In the world where people don't want to do their own real estate transaction and be a for sale by owner, there's those. We're talking to those people. Yeah. Most first-time home buyers don't know anything about the DC G-Car regional sales contract, and they need somebody who has experience in buying and selling homes. Yeah. So cynics, you guys can do your own for sale by owner, and then you can just cut us out of the transaction. That's totally fine, right? We're okay with that. But for the people that do need our services, this is going to affect them because to the natural conclusion, right? Let's say, all right, Mr. Seller, I don't want to, Mr. Agent, I don't want to pay that buyer's agent, right? Okay, fine. You want to pay me? I mean, do I get paid? Yeah, sure. We'll give you 2%, 3%, whatever. Okay, great. How much you want to pay the buyer's agent? 0. Great. We put the property on the market. The buyer's agent gets 0. Now, let's flip to the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent says, hey, Mr. Buyer, first-time home buyer, the seller's not paying me. You got to pay me. Future casting, the lender creates a program that says, okay, we'll pick up the ball and pay the commission, but you got to qualify for this new amount. And there's going to be some stipulations, and nothing's free, so that's going to increase your interest rate. So then that buyer says, oh, crap, I can't afford that house that I was going to put an offer on anymore. And so the seller loses a buyer. So it just comes right back around.
Enjoy your negotiations, brother.
That's what's going to happen.
Because if that happens,
just a prediction.
It's just one of them things.
It's going to be all good, though. The point is,
you got to roll with. Yeah, you got to roll with it.
People going to still be buying. People still going to be selling houses. People are always going to need a place to stay. If you're concerned about this new commission structure, don't be, because it's not going to be that big a huge deal. There are just going to be some things that are going to be a little bit different, and a few more disclosures that we're going to have to give to you. And as I get more information, I will bring it to you. Make sure to like, subscribe, share this podcast with anybody that you think is dope. Let's get into the real estate hot or not. Hot.
Or not.
Or not.
My stomach was growling, so I'm just going to jump into one gotta go. Pineapples, strawberries, watermelon, or mango.
Strawberries.
For sure.
Gross.
Get them up out of here.
What is a strawberry? It's weird.
All them seeds on the outside. Do you ever see
seeds on the outside?
I saw the strawberry.
I never noticed that.
I saw the strawberry video, bro, that had me so sick, and I didn't really rock with him anyway. But and who came up with the chocolate covered strawberries? What is that thing about? Like, love?
Those are actually good, but I don't. There's too much work. I don't like chocolate that much.
One brand got to go. Sneaker edition. Adidas, Timberlands, Nikes, and I'm going to say Jordans. I'm going to separate Nike. I know it is. I know it is, but
we can get rid of Tim's because I haven't worn Tim's since like 1996.
I still do yard work in my old Tim's.
Like the buttons?
Yeah, they double sole.
You be rocking the
leather on the top, doing the yard work.
You don't care, You just be out there in the grass.
But I don't. I mean,
you really use them for what they were meant for.
Yeah, and I've had those. Mm-hmm. I know I've had those Tim for probably 15 years, 20 years.
Oh, I know what they look like. I know what them joints look like. I got a mental picture.
I will find a picture. I'll go in and take a picture.
I already know what it looks like.
The tongue is like this. I just pull them up. You know what I'm saying?
Them joints brown.
They still tied. They still tied. I can slip up put it up.
Literally tied up. Like,
yeah,
they're tied.
Bow. They're tied. But but I need like 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
That tongue is leaning.
Yeah,
but all right, would you rather watch nothing but Hallmark Christmas movies or nothing but horror movies?
I watch horror movies, man. Them Christmas movies be too much.
I cannot stand Hallmark Christmas movies.
But
the horror movies, depending on the type of horror movie, I can watch it. But but the ones that get to like dealing with demons and all that stuff, they bother me. I always have.
Okay, last one.
No, I ain't getting last one. Would you rather oversleep every day for a week or not get any sleep at all for 4 days?
Oh, I oversleep. I do that anyway. I'm supposed to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't never wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Would you rather get trapped in the middle of a food fight or get trapped in the middle of a water balloon fight?
Water balloon. Water
same. Would you rather have skin that changes color based on your emotions or tattoos that appear on your body depicting what you did yesterday?
Yeah, I'll change my skin color.
That'd be cool to be kind of like a chameleon.
I'll be red, hot all the time. 90% of the day, I only got to say that. I just be like, okay, Mr. Wheeler, sorry.
Last one is, would you rather hunt and butcher your own meat or just never eat meat again?
No. I like hunting.
You do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I want to hunt more. I want to hunt like game, like deer and like ox. Like, remember Oregon Trail?
Yes, I do remember that.
I want to live on an Oregon
Trail. You never field dressed an animal?
Field what?
I can tell the answer is no.
Field Morgan?
Field dress. What that means is you went hunting and you shot a deer, you tracked it down, you followed the blood trail, and then when he was there, you basically cut them open, took the guts out, and then brought it back, and then took it to the processing plant.
Oh, you got to take it to the processing plant and they cut
I mean,
it up for you?
you don't have to. You can do it yourself.
Oh, yeah, like fish. Like they can cut it up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love
So
to, man.
it's basically like a big version of gutting fish.
Oh, that would be fun. I don't know. I mean, probably the first couple of times though, it's brutal, huh?
It's different. It's different. Like my boy told me, shout out to Roy. He was like, I came and helped him field dress deer that he shot at my grandmother's place, and it was my first time doing it.
Oh, hey.
And when I leaned down, you like this close to the deer, and he said, before you get close, he's like, do not throw up in my deer. I was like, what? He was like, do not throw up.
You can't wash it off?
No, you just like, but if I vomit on it, because he had already started cutting it open, and he cut his finger and he couldn't finish it. That's why I had to come help him finish it up. So it was open. It was organs laying out, whatever. Because if I vomit on that, then the whole thing is spoiled, right?
Why? You can't just wash off the vomit?
I mean, you can. Yeah, you can. But you don't want to.
Well, like a purist? It's like a purist.
Yeah, like it's almost like it's almost like if you puncture the gallbladder and bile gets in there, or the stomach acid gets in the meat, it can spoil the meat.
Sure.
So basically, he's like, "Don't throw up in my deer." I was like, "All right." I get down there and I get close to it, and he saw me do this, and he's like, "Hey," I was like, I didn't know what to expect because that smell hit you is different.
Oh, it's a smell.
It's not stink. It's just a different smell.
It's a smell, yeah.
And I got closer and I was like, he's like, hey, go take a breath. Like just wait for a minute. So then I got myself together and I finished it up. But it was a different experience. So
I wouldn't mind doing that.
I'm certified though.
Deer. There's a certification for that?
Nah, I'm just somebody got to be like teach you, and if you can do it, that means you're certified.
You have to go renew your license.
You ain't country enough. This conversation is over.
PG County, baby. Well, thank you guys so much for jumping into the Real Estate Wire podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anybody that you might think is dope, because they might think it's dope too. If you're listening on iTunes, make sure to leave a comment and a 5-star review. Where can they find you at, Coach Marcus?
On social media, at Fields Mortgage Group and at Mortgage Coach Marcus.
And I'm Dan Wheeler, Sells Homes on all platforms. Thank you so much for all of us here at the Real Estate Wire. We are out. Stop it.